Yeah, okay. We've got Deal or No Deal with Phil Egan coming in a couple of minutes' time. But we do want to turn our attention to German football. It's been a fairly sensational level of achievement by various German managers in recent seasons, and this year is no different, with 3 out of the 4 managers in the semi-finals ending up being from Germany as well. I'm delighted to say we've got Christian Falk with us. He's head of football at Bild. Christian, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, and Servus
Um,
from Bild.
Tell me, how did it come to pass that the current crop of German managers are absolutely sensational and conquering the world with ease?
I know. Now there are 3 in it, but these are special coaches. I think not. It's the education itself. We're watching Tuchel for a long time. Nagelsmann is a very, very young manager. He was nearly Bayern Munich coach a few years ago, so they're very special. So sometimes you're lucky and you have this generation, and now we are watching what they do in Europe.
Somebody recently was crediting the turnaround in all German football fortunes to Euro 2000 and the decision afterwards to focus on coaches, a significant change in style of play, how you train people, and to get the people to get a critical mass of people who are going to go out and implement those plans. You needed to invest heavily in coaching, and what we're seeing is the generation come along after that who have not necessarily had a stellar playing career. This isn't Lothar Matthäus, for example. This isn't Rudi Völler that you're turning to. It's like players, people who understand the game but who are more curious about it because they weren't actually geniuses themselves.
Yes, but I think sometimes you have to work a little bit more if you haven't this career like Lothar Matthäus. I think he was a very, very good coach in the foreign countries, but he had always problems in Germany. You see Effenberg, you remember he was our captain from our Bayern Munich team in 2001. He tried to get into this coach job directly, and I think that's not often a good idea because they think always they know best, but you have to learn it. And I think Hansi Flick, the coach of Bayern Munich, is a very, very good example because he started very, very low and was getting first assistant. He was a sporting director of the DFB, the German Football Association, where he worked with youth talents. And I think if you go step by step, this is the right way. And Nagelsmann is another example, but he's very young, but he started also when he was a youth coach. And the big chance he had was from Tuchel, who said has to be coach in future. So I think this is the secret of this generation because, everybody has a different age. So you can't say this is just going to school at the German Football Association. I think it's the best to do it in the youth leagues, like Klose is doing it now at Bayern Munich. I think this is the right way. And remember these words, Klose, I think, will be a very, very good coach too in future.
That's interesting because obviously he's got an incredible pedigree as a player as well. So is he earmarked as a successor immediately after Flick, or how long does he have to wait before he can actually step up to the senior job?
I don't know if that's his plan because, it was very interesting because he was coaching the U17 and then they wanted to give him directly the job as U19 coach. He said, no, I want to stay here. I start a little bit slow. So I'm not sure if he would have the chance. I don't think he has it very, very early because Flick is doing a very, very good job at the moment. But I think he didn't sign a very, very long contract at Bayern Munich to do the next step, perhaps at a club which is not so big like Bayern Munich. But, it happens often, a coach getting fired like Kovac, and the assistant coach has to do it for a few weeks, and then they see that he's doing good, like Flick. And then he's the head coach. You never know.
Yeah, he's on the verge of winning a Champions League at this point, which would be, not bad.
Yeah. But we know Flick for a long time. He was our assistant coach when we get the world champion. He knows a lot of players. He knows what a Müller can be, what a Boateng can defend. And, it sounds a little bit crazy, but he's also a man catcher like Klopp. But he's a very quiet man catcher. He's doing it in a different way, but he is remembering at Ottmar Hitzfeld. He's a very, very good worker at the background. He's know how to talk with people. I think Hitzfeld was such a German Ferguson. So Flick is a little bit kind of disc coach. And so you can be a man catcher in different ways, you see.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad pedigree to have, not a bad combination of different characters. It's not just German coaches that are riding high at the moment. Obviously, some of your best young talent have become some of the most sought after players, young players in the world, and particularly the Premier League is very interested in a couple of players. You had a big breaking story overnight that talks for Kai Havertz are at an advanced stage, and you expect him to become the most expensive German player of all time.
Yes, it's true. They waited a little bit longer because they played EuroLeague, and I think Chelsea don't want to pay 100 million euros, but Leverkusen says they have to. So now they're talking, but we know that Havertz talked already with the club and said, let me do this step. And he had the promise from the club, even in the last year, that when such an offer is coming to the club, they will help him that he can do this step. So at the moment, there's a difference between 80 or 100 million euros. I think the offer at the moment of Chelsea is 65 million plus 15 millions. So Leverkusen wants still 100, but I think they will find a solution with ads on so they can meet at a good part. And I think it will happen very early because the training starts at Leverkusen, I think, in 1 week. In a few days, so it's going further and further, and I think it will happen.
Christian, there's a chance that Chelsea will be playing a front three of 2 Germans and 3 former Bundesliga products in attack with Pulisic, Werner, and Havertz next season. How terrifying a prospect is that? And I'm particularly interested in how you think Werner and Havertz will play together.
I think this is very, very interesting. You know too that Werner was first thinking of going to Liverpool. Havertz had the idea of going to Real Madrid or Barcelona, but I think it's the right step for these players because they're young. They didn't play on top level, Champions League half final or final, so they have to educate. And I think it's a very, very interesting moment to go now to Chelsea. They have the chance to build a new team, and they're at the first moment important for this team. That wouldn't be at Liverpool, where Klopp had the idea to bring Werner slowly in. So I think they're directly leaders, and I think this is very, very important for education. And I'm looking forward what Chelsea will be in perhaps 1 or 2 years international.
It seems that they can go right to the top with that attack, doesn't it? Like the question maybe is around Frank Lampard and if he can grow as a manager with them, or if Roman Abramovich is going to get frustrated with the steps that need to be taken, because we've seen that in the past. He wants success here and now, especially when he is spending big money like that. So the question really is, Christian, how long will it take for that front three to be on the level of the Bayern attack or the Paris Saint-Germain attack at the moment?
Werner wanted to go to Bayern Munich a year ago. So I think at this time, he wasn't that player he is now. It was. I'm a little bit sorry that he didn't play yesterday in the half final, because I think he would be the puzzle which Leipzig needed to go around further. So you saw how important he is already. So I think he will work immediately at Chelsea. Havertz, he's a brilliant player. He can be everywhere on the pitch, but I think to be a leader, he needs 1 or 2 years more. So I think they should give him the time, but I think nobody is expecting that they win the championship next year already, but they have to play a role, and they have to play a role in Europe. And you see what is possible when you saw Leipzig in the half final, or Ajax Amsterdam the year before. So I think Chelsea is the next team on this level, which can be the next big thing. But winning a title, perhaps they should give them 2 years and not 1.
Can I ask you about Jadon Sancho then? Because it's been a very interesting few weeks where it seemed almost like a done deal that he was going to go to Manchester United, but actually it was just really personal terms that had been agreed, and the clubs hadn't agreed on a fee whatsoever. Do you fully believe at this point now that Sancho is going to play another season at Dortmund?
I think the transfer window is still open till October, so things can happen. But I think the point was that, your clubs in England are very, very rich, and when they go for players in Germany, they always think they get them. But Dortmund is doing a next step in the education, a step which Bayern Munich did 7 years ago, to be not longer a seller club, to be a buyer club. So they are now in the position to say no. If they pay the price of Manchester United, I think they will sell Sancho, of course, but they're not in this situation that they have to sell him. And so if they don't pay the 120 million euros, they don't sell him. They sell him next year. Next year, there's no corona. They extend the contract 1 year more secretly. And since now it's a new situation, and Manchester United, I think, didn't believe that it could happen, that they say, no, 80 millions are not enough or 90 millions are not enough. So if they pay the price, it will happen. But if they don't pay it, so they have to wait a year longer. So Sancho, I think, is not a player like Dembele, which will strike. And he's fine at the moment at Dortmund, because there is also a big chance, if you see the clubs, I was talking with Emre Can, and he said at the moment Dortmund is as big as Manchester United. So why should he go this year when he can go also next year? I'm not sure what will happen, because just Manchester United can say how much money they like to invest, but I think it's not over at the moment.
That's an interesting point that you make, Christian, that this is kind of a changing of the power struggle in European football, that Borussia Dortmund now feel we don't need Manchester United's money. We're ready to hold on to our stars and challenge for Bundesliga titles.
Yes. So I think that's also very important for Bundesliga, because in the last year, it was just Bayern Munich, which always can play a big role in Europe. But, Bayern Munich was 8 years in a row champion in Germany, and that's not a good education for the league. So they still have something to happen. Uli Hoeneß, our former president, said that it's not okay that they don't always sell the players, because they need rivals in the league. So I think now it's the point where Dortmund wants to win titles again. So that's a bad situation for Manchester United at the moment to make a poker.
If there's been comments from Emre Can about Manchester United not being, that Dortmund are as big a club as Manchester United at the moment, what do you think he would say about Liverpool? Is there a feeling in Germany that Liverpool are a step above Manchester United, and as a result, Thiago won't be able to avoid the flirtatious eyes from Liverpool Football Club over the next little while?
Thiago is a different situation. He's playing now since 7 years at Bayern Munich. He wants to doing the next step. It was really surprising for Bayern Munich. He had a contract he just had to sign. The money was okay for him. The years were okay for him. But I think Thiago is a very, very special person. I know when he arrived to Bayern Munich, he wanted to go there to be the next Messi or the next Ronaldo. But 7 years later, he's a brilliant player, international top player. But at Bayern Munich, he's not the face of this team, and you saw that when he was injured, they play also very well. So perhaps he now is trying to do a step at a new team that he can show what he can, and to do a last big step in his already big career. But he's now 29, I think, and 30 million Bayern Munich wants for him because he's a good player. And I'm not sure if Liverpool at the moment likes to pay the price. Klopp wants him definitely. But Klopp also wanted Werner and didn't get him because of money. So I think it will happen that he will go to Liverpool, but at least like Sancho, it's a question of money.
Christian, one last question about the general power of German teams. It seems, as you said already, the Premier League have so much money, it's difficult to resist when they come calling. And yet we see that the best talent in Europe is clearly in the Bundesliga. The best young players, there are loads of players at that 30 million level, some at the 50 million, and now we're seeing some at the 100 and 120 million. Obviously the talent scouting and their ability to turn players from other leagues into superstars is the best in Europe at the moment.
Yes, that's perhaps true, but I think it's also the thing that we are not the biggest league in Europe, and the players see that they have a chance to play here, and we have very, very good clubs which play a very good role in Europe. That's why 2 teams are now in the Champions half final. But in Germany, they get the chance to play. And that's a big thing at the moment for young players. Sancho was a perfect commercial for Bundesliga. So now players are coming here because they see, oh, here I can play, and I play not just somewhere in the league, I play directly Champions League, and then I can do the next step. You saw Haaland was saying no to Manchester United and saying yes to Dortmund. Not well. I think normally he would join United because he will be there in a few years, I'm sure. But you see, at the moment, the best to play here. You have full stadiums normally when there's no corona. You have good clubs, a good competition, and you have the show is a nice package which not everyone in the Premier League can give, because there are so many superstars already there, and they can pay the price for them. So I think this is a good chance for the Bundesliga, but it's also good for the Premier League because you get very good educated players.
Yeah, for sure. Christian, great to have you on. Thanks so much for being so generous with your time.
It was a pleasure to me. Greetings.